and Johnny Burton, founder of the Bob Burton Foundation. Mayor?
Okay. All right, Friday during the day and yesterday evening before council, I had a meeting with the people from Bike Life and talked about the concerns that people have in the community as well as the city and the police, and also learning the concerns that they have about what we would call irresponsible riding of off-road vehicles on the city streets. In that conversation, we had mentioned to them that out of respect, we were letting them know that we were going to be proposing legislation and that we'll be proposing this legislation and introduce it as early as this Monday, but knowing that we'll no later than summer break, so that it would be introduced into council, and so council can review the legislation. And we also talked about how can we work in a collaborative and cooperative way to ensure safety, not only for the community at large, but for the riders, for the police, and all those involved in this, and that we do not want to continue to have a situation that would put people's lives in danger, as well as particularly around parks, the destruction of properties. So I'll turn it over to the chief. He'll give some comments, and then we'll turn it over to Johnny, okay?
All right, thanks, Mayor. Good morning. Good morning. As the mayor stated, you know, for a while we've been dealing with this issue about illegal riding in the streets of the city of Cleveland. And we've enlisted, as you can see, some of the folks from the Bike Life community, not necessarily people that ride illegally, but are members of the community that ride as a whole. And the focus here is for safety of everybody this summer. With the summer months coming, we know that things heat up and people get out there and partake in summer activities. This being one of the things that's happened the last couple summers, and we definitely want to stop it. Illegal dirt bike riding or ATV riding in the city, we're trying to make sure we stop it and give people alternatives. A couple of things that we're going to do are enforcement strategies, and I'm not going to get deep into those, but people can kind of guess what those are. And we've talked about that with everybody. Our law enforcement community partners from the feds on down are going to be involved in those strategies. We're giving people an opportunity up front to know that we're coming and that this thing needs to stop, and that with the cooperation of the people from Bike Life and the Bob Burton Foundation and others, we're trying to give alternatives to that. Some of the things that we're proposing in legislation have to deal with the vehicles themselves and that they're prohibited from being on city streets. Some of the other things we're proposing is to stop riding on city streets or parks or playgrounds and things like that that happen. And then we're also looking at the fueling of and what's basically an illegal vehicle on the city streets at gas stations to make sure that doesn't continue to happen. So again, our focus and aim is for everybody to be safe, our community, our officers, and even the young folks out there that ride. You know, we want to give them a safe alternative to riding in our streets. So that's why we're here today. We're not here to demonize anybody. We're here to make sure our community understands that we're going to make it safe for everybody. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Johnny Burton.
Good morning. My name is Johnny Burton, as you heard, and I'm the founder of the Bob Burton Foundation. Our mission is to bridge the gap between the youth, the bike life, and other at-risk youth, and with our community. Our goal is to be the liaison who people can trust and ensure the fairness and safety for those who are all involved with the bike life. We fully support the mayor and the chief in trying to get the illegal activity under control. The safety of our community is our biggest concern, and we are developing a safe alternative for riders. We are in talks with the city for the options, and we're looking and expecting to have a decision soon based off of our dealings with the mayor, and hopefully we can come up with a solution to the bike life problem. The Bob Burton Foundation strives to formulate a new image of the bike life for those who choose to make the proper choices and decisions. The bike life is not a game. It is a group of riders who are enjoying the sport. We are not criminals. We want to make sure that everyone knows that, and we will do what it takes to adhere to the new laws that are being proposed today. And that's pretty much all we have. We just want people to understand that the bike life movement is not and wasn't intended to be a nuisance to the community. It wasn't intended to be what it became. And our job as the Bob Burton Foundation is to help bring a halt to the recklessness, and also get the people to understand, the people who are involved in the bike life. We want you to engage the people that are in the bike life. We want the community to see that these are your children riding these bikes through the community. And we are all responsible for their actions. Not just the mayor, not just the police, but also the citizens of the community. Because some of the parents and including myself, have encouraged some of this behavior as far as buying the bike or fixing the bike. You know, because we know that it's not truly something that is a heinous thing, more or less. But it has become that. So we're trying to figure out a way, and we're going to work diligently to make a change about the bike life. And that's pretty much all.
Questions? Yeah.
Why has it taken till now to enforce the law against these packs of dirt bike riders?
Well, you're assuming that we have not been enforcing the law. And what has happened is that we have a policy that talks about creating an unsafe condition when, in fact, you're pursuing a bike. Anybody who has an experience with watching motorcycles or dirt bikes and things like that, knowing that if you try to pursue them with a car, it becomes a very dangerous proposition. And so that was a policy decision. We do enforce laws. We tow bikes on a daily basis. Commissioner or Chief, you want to? But let him answer that, and then we'll come back.
Okay, good, yeah, 'cause I have a
Okay,
follow-up that
okay, we can
speaks
do that.
to when people call 911 about this. Right. Sure.
Well, I think what you're getting at is that the response that certain people have gotten from our dispatchers, we're trying to rectify that now. If you call 911 or 1234 number for a dirt bike issue or police issue, we will respond. But we're not going to come out, and the policy has been to not come out and, as the mayor said, chase a dirt bike with a car. Nobody's going to win in that situation. You know, it puts everybody's life at risk. So if the community wants us to chase a dirt bike with a car when there's going to be no positive end to that, we're not going to do that because it puts everybody's life in jeopardy.
Yes, we'll follow up.
Can you, well, exactly, I think you addressed part of that, but people have called 911 and dispatchers have said.
Right, and we're addressing that. Again,
So,
our dispatch center is going to have clear and concise orders about what to do when somebody calls in reference to dirt bikes, and that will be disseminated throughout the division.
so what do you say to the citizen?
We're telling people if you see a pack of dirt bikes to call, because our partners up here are trying to prevent that from happening, for people to be out there riding illegally. But the people that don't listen to that, if you see them, you call our non-emergency, our 621-1234 number, and we will have a response. But still, we're not going to go out there on a routine basis and chase dirt bikes in a police car, because you're not going to have a positive outcome of that. We do have strategies in place to deal with that aspect of it, which I'm not going to get into right now, but we're not going to put people's lives in danger in pursuing bikes that way. And the whole thing for this press conference is to make sure people understand we do have a strategy in place. We are going to introduce legislation to have tougher penalties on people that violate the law. And that strategy is going to be rolled out. We're not going to tell you what it is, but that strategy is going to be rolled out, and people can be assured when they call, we're going to respond. Yes?
I think you just addressed my question, because there are laws on the books already that address this.
Well, our proposal is to increase some of the penalties, to make sure people understand we're serious about this, and to implement the strategies that we have to kind of curtail this activity, along with the education from our partners. I mean, we've met and talked to people that go out there and ride, and some people are just misinformed about what the law is. You know, the dirt bike, any vehicle on city streets has to have turn signals, lights, headlights, front lights, things like that to operate, to be licensed. And some people, mainly kids and probably some of their parents, just don't understand that if the dirt bike's not equipped that way, it's illegal to ride it. So part of what we're going to do is a public information campaign that gets that message out there, all the information out there to everybody, and to elicit the public's help and when these rides start or where they end, because people see that in the neighborhoods, to make sure we can curtail it.
If I may,
Next. Go ahead.
Carl, what we're talking about, what people want is a panacea. They just want a panacea. And when I'm calling you, can you just make this go away? And what we're saying, in effect, that does not work, just like all panaceas. It just don't work. This is a comprehensive approach, because this is just not a Cleveland concern. If you go throughout this country, in every urban center of this country, they're having the same kind of concerns. And what we found, that when you just make this a police issue and about chasing people, chasing a bike with a car, you will invariably wind up with a bad situation at the end, invariably. And so what we've decided to do is not to take that panacea approach to deal with the political side of, look, I'm doing something, when in fact we're really not, because you're just not going to solve it by taking that one panacea approach. So we're looking at a comprehensive approach. We're looking at partner relationship, collaborations with the people who ride. We're looking at providing alternatives, such as the Mary Motley track. We're in discussions with the people from Bike Life as what could be a legitimate, safe alternative. We don't know what that is, but we're at least in that dialogue. And at the same time, as you know, as old folks say, some people don't believe fat meat greasy. And when that happens, that means that that you have to show some people, and that means the law. And that is why we'll be introducing legislation that will enhance penalties and do all of those kind of things to let people know you will be held accountable while we're addressing this comprehensive thing. Now, at the same time, our policy with the chief, and I think the traffic commissioner is said the same thing. It is unsafe to chase a motorcycle or dirt bike with a car. There is no positive outcome to that. But there are methodologies to identify who is riding without having to do that. And we'll be looking into those methodologies as to how to do that so that we can hold people accountable without putting their life at risk, the police officer's life at risk, or the life or some innocent bystander who just happened to be in the way. There are people who have died. There are people who've had concussions and they can't think straight anymore. And so we're concerned about all of that. So that's what it is. It's a comprehensive approach. And so that you understand how we're approaching this, and it's not a panacea where we just do this one thing and look what we're doing and this is going to solve the problem. It doesn't work that way. We want a positive outcome. We want to solve this problem. At the same time, we want to have a relationship with people who are citizens of the city of Cleveland who do intend to do the right thing. We want all of that to happen. And I believe the police and the people who ride would welcome that relationship, because it's beneficial to all of us to have a positive relationship with those who want to do right and who intend to do right. So that's what it's a comprehensive kind of approach. That's what it is. That's why we're not just talking about one thing.
When will people see a difference on the streets? You talked about legislation and rolling out a strategy. When will all this make a difference on the streets?
Well, I can't,
2 months?
I can't predict that. I can't predict that. I will tell you that anytime you deal with things in a substantive way, where you create a new way of doing things that has sustainability to it and that it lasts, you don't change that overnight. You know, this is a movement. It's a movement out in the streets of every urban center in America. And every city has attempted to address this issue, but they've attempted to do it based solely on law enforcement and believing that that's a panacea. It doesn't work that way. So I can't give you a timeline. The only thing I can commit to the people of the city of Cleveland, to Bike Life, to the police department, is that we are working on this in a comprehensive way to get a positive outcome for all involved. That's the only thing I can commit to. That's the only thing.
Could this possibly limit the number of bikes? Because I've seen bikers driving legally, apparently.
Right.
You know, they're not showboating, they're just driving.
Right.
But when you get 75, 100
Right.
at one time, I don't care what you say, it's a nuisance. It's a noise nuisance and nothing else.
Well,
And
I'll
a traffic
let
nuisance.
you.
So is that possibly part of the legislation?
Well, you know, there's some discussion around that we haven't finalized, but let me just say, I've been riding down the street. As I told people, I don't ride because I can't fall. I'm too old to fall. And so the point is that I've stopped at a stop sign and had to wait a half an hour because hundreds of motorcycles were going by, and they had police escorts. You know, but they are street legal vehicles, right? So you know, having something that says that going abreast, 2 or 3 people going abreast, well, that would mean cars, that would mean motorcycles. See, so I don't know how that will play out, but all these kind of things are part of this discussion, and it's more about the behavior of the pack than it is the pack. It's more about the behavior. Johnny, you want to say something?
No, I was going to say that riding in a group, following the law is not illegal, no matter how you look at it. I mean, I know that the image of the people automatically assumes that they're criminals. I mean, you know, just the way I look sometimes get me pegged as a criminal, but I'm not. I'm an educator. I teach at a college, but I also enjoy riding dirt bikes. But, you know, my job is to make sure that the kids don't become criminals based off of these new laws. You know, I don't mind that the city and the mayor and the police are trying to get people to follow the rules and be safe out here. That's our intention. Motorcyclists die continuously every year, and we have big stickers on our car to say, watch out for motorcyclists. So we are advocates of motorcycle safety, but at the same time, we are advocates of our community and the people in it. And just because we're sometimes, we're not making the proper choices and decision doesn't make us full-fledged criminals. A lot of the infractions that have been happening are misdemeanors, and a lot of the kids believe that because it's only a misdemeanor and things of that nature, that is not a big deal. And that's what our job is, to get to the kids and some of the younger adults that even though you're just breaking a minor traffic law, it's still a big consequence because you can kill someone breaking that minor traffic law. We're trying to get them to understand the severity of safety, and that's what the ultimate goal is.
How do you reach those kids?
I mean, they're already interested in something that we all have. They're already interested in something that we have, you know, full knowledge of as far as the motorcyclists. That is our tool to get to the kids. If I provide you with the opportunity besides telling you no, and this is what our city is telling, and it tries to tell, you know, the children, no, you can't ride your dirt bike, but I have no alternative solution as to why you can't ride your dirt bike. I'm not telling you you can't ride your dirt bike, but you can ride it over here where it's safe. They're just telling the kids you can't ride your dirt bike, period. And that's where the problem is, because we need to have an alternative. The dirt bike scene is the biggest thing going on in America right now, in the inner city. So this is an industry that we can introduce to the kids where there's millions of dollars to be made in this industry. This is an industry that we have been excluded from for at least 40 years. The dirt bike racing has been a part of my family since 1972. We've had sanctioned events and all those things all over the state of Ohio, but people from the inner city had no place to practice.
So, yeah, that's what I'm wondering. So what type of events do you hold to
Well, we would hold rider events out in Orwell, Ohio. We would do small things for the kids in order to get them engaged and try to bring them away from the city, from the streets. But Orwell, Ohio was over an hour away from Cleveland. So we're seeking to try to develop something with the Marion Motley Park in the inner city of Cleveland, but to wait on that will probably be another 18 months or at least the next summer. So in the meanwhile, we're trying to find out a way to get the kids off the streets now.
I have one more question for the mayor about the bike track. Many people doubt the bike track will make a difference and take the bikes off the streets. What do you say to those folks?
Well, you know, then why should I do anything? Why should I do anything? I mean, any of you ever had take a step to address a serious issue, and then somebody say, well, you know, that won't solve it all, so why don't I just sit down and do nothing then? We are doing something. No matter how small it may be or how large it may be or in between, we are doing something because we are attempting to deal with the relevant issues that are plaguing not only Cleveland, but in every urban center in this country. And we're doing it in a comprehensive and constructive way. We're not demonizing anybody. We're not calling people criminals. What we're saying, in effect, can you work with us in order for you to be able to do what you do, and not only that, have an opportunity to go further in it, make some money, as opposed to just falling down and making no money. And then, so what we do? We invest in it. We invest in it. I'll give you an example. We had a kid killed, several killed because of skateboarding. The people downtown and the businesses and other parts of the commercial side of the city, Cleveland, were complaining because these skateboarders were riding their rails, jumping over these steps. Oh, you know what happened. And so what did we do? I don't know, Ken's not here, so he can't tell me, but we spent close to $700,000, $800,000 to build that particular culture, that particular group, a skateboard park. So we invested in them rather than calling them criminals, rather than putting them in jail. We invested in them. It's the same approach here. So yes, it's a small thing in the whole scheme of things, but it is an alternative. Will it take every bike off the street, take every rider off the street? No. But I will guarantee you that there will be young people, children, and young adults who will be exposed to a sport that has millions of dollars associated with it, not only in terms of riding, but in the advertisement or whatever, millions of dollars associated with it. It will introduce them to a sport, and out of that, it will help somebody. It will direct them. Will it direct everybody? No. I mean, I've talked to other riders, and they said they don't like riding on dirt. They like riding on asphalt. So what are we attempting to do? We're attempting to make, as part of this park, in this track, a certified track that can be competitive and be on a regular circuit for professional riding. We're looking at how do we put a quarter-mile street in the doggone thing. So if you want to ride and do tricks, you just ride on. If you want to do asphalt, do it over here. You don't have to ride on dirt. Ride the asphalt over here. Now, when you do that, and then we work with Bike Life, and we work out some kind of collaborative agreement on how to approach this, now anybody who just want to be a maverick go off on their own, that's on them. But we're going to work on giving people alternatives, giving people choices, and they make their choices. Whatever choice they make is their choice. But they can't say they don't have a choice.
Mayor, your political opponent on the floor of City Council last night proposing that hearings be held regarding the dirt park that you mentioned. At this point,
Well, you make.
what do you have to say to Mr. Reed?
Well, I think you preference it by the correct thing when you said political appointment. You should opponent. You should take it with a grain of salt from that point on, and so do I.
So you think he's wasting his time, basically?
I don't know what he's a political opponent. He'll say anything, whatever he thinks to his advantage. I mean, so now is the issue real? Yes, the issue is real. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
But you're saying he's exploiting the issue.
There are pimps in every world. Yes,
And you're saying Councilman Zach Reed is one of them?
I just said it.
You're calling him Councilman a pimp?
He's pimping this situation. That's right. That's right. He's exploiting it not for the genuine concern about their well-being, the citizens' well-being, or these police officers' well-being. He's exploiting it for the purpose of his own political interests. Because believe me, if I were doing that, I wouldn't be standing here talking about what I'm talking about today, would I? I'd have been all over this 2 months ago, having the same kind of conversation, calling them thugs, calling them criminals. If I wanted to exploit it for my own political consideration and ingratiate myself to some people, but I'm not doing that, am I? And because of that, both of you have had conversations about me in regards to my support of the Bike Life. And it didn't come across positive for me, right? I will admit it was fairer than I expected, but it didn't come across positive for me. So my point is, yes, the issue is legitimate, but the one bringing it is not legitimate. It's political. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
What specifically is going to be in the stuff you send to council?
That is what we're working on. That's why the law department is here. And we were having discussions, the police are having discussions with them. Commissioner Muick, of the traffic commissioner, he's having that discussion. And the chief kind of outlined it is about enhanced penalties. It is about around the issue of how do you fuel vehicles. It is around identification, stunt riding, you know, those specific things, right?
The dirt track is obviously one of the alternatives. What
Right.
other kinds of alternatives?
Well, that's what we're in discussion, because I always find that whenever if you're trying to work with people, you give them the respect of having an opinion. And they have opinions. Now, whether or not we come to some agreement on all of their opinions, you know, that's another issue. But we're expecting to have some feedback as to what they think might be alternatives to that. But we haven't come up with any right now. It's simply because to ride unlicensed vehicle on the streets of the city of Cleveland is illegal. You just got to start there. So when you start there, you have to be very creative about giving people choices other than a fully established park for that purpose. And as Johnny said, we had anticipated that would be this fall, but there's a lot of interest from a lot of people in terms of wanting to it has national attention in terms of people who are looking at being part of it. So that may be extended into next year. It might not be until next summer. So we don't know yet.
And one other thing, maybe for the chief, I was on my way home the other night. It was about St.
Yes, that they ride well.
And there were about, maybe 8 or 10, either four-wheel
See.
ATVs or bikes, starting stunts up the street. And I'm curious, how do you address that? If there wasn't anybody there at the time, but if a cruiser had been there, what can they do when they see that kind of a thing going?
Well, our officers can always initiate traffic stops on traffic violations, which is what it is. You know, it's illegal to ride an unlicensed vehicle on the streets, and they can always initiate a traffic stop. But if the people that are riding don't want to stop, then it results in a pursuit, which we are not going to do unless we can do it in a safe manner. So part of our strategy is to make sure that if a pursuit ensues, that we do it in a safe manner, and we have equipment, techniques and technology and things like that to help us do that.
And propose new methodology.
Right. So all that's a part of, like Mayor said, a comprehensive strategy to look at this from top to bottom. Other cities in this country have taken the law enforcement, you know, if every problem's a nail, then your only tool is a hammer. And everybody's done that. And it hasn't solved the problem. We can probably go online and show you, city impound lots filled with dirt bikes. And there's still a problem in those cities. So we take the comprehensive approach. We want to make sure that we look at all aspects of this and how to solve it and involve people that are actually, involved in that life or with people that actually ride to see how we come up with solutions. All right? Thank you.
All right, anybody else before we wrap up? Thank you, I appreciate it.
What is that legislation, is it still being drawn up?
Yeah, the earliest it will be introduced is Monday, this coming Monday. We are looking no later than council recess, which is June 5th. Now, if we are able to do it sooner, then I'm pretty sure the council will expedite the movement of it through council before recess. If, however, the fashioning of it needs more time and more details in terms of legality of this and that, I'm pretty sure I think they have a meeting in July, in mid-July, that they could either pass it or they can hold a special meeting. Okay? All right, thank you very much. Thank you. And he is a pimp. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you.